Why do you replay conversations from years ago? Why does your mind wander the second you try to focus? Why do you feel anxious before you can even explain why? Most people assume these are just random quirks of being human. They're not. And once you see what's actually behind them, you can't unsee it. Think about the last time you were lying in bed, completely exhausted, ready to finally sleep. And your brain decided that was the perfect moment to replay the exact second everyone went quiet after you made that joke at dinner. 3 years ago. A dinner you haven't thought about once since then. Or you're in the shower, not thinking about anything important, and suddenly you're in a full argument with someone who isn't even there. You're making their points for them. You're responding. You're winning. You're losing. The water goes cold, and you realize you've been standing there for 15 minutes having a conversation that will never happen. Why does that keep happening? Most people call it overthinking. But that's not really an answer. That's just a name for it. It doesn't explain why the brain picks those specific moments or why it keeps returning to the same things again and again. Here's what's actually going on. There's a part of your brain that never turns off. When your attention isn't locked onto a task, it doesn't rest. It starts scanning, reviewing things that happened, rehearsing things that haven't, quietly building a story about who you are and what everything means. That's why unfinished conversations keep surfacing. Certain memories seem to carry more weight than others, and your mind keeps circling back to things you thought you'd moved on from. Your brain isn't wandering, it's working. It just isn't working on what you asked it to. You're at a loud party, dozens of conversations happening at once, and somehow, from across the room, you hear your name. You weren't listening for it, but something caught it anyway. Because beneath everything, your brain is constantly scanning and asking one quiet question. Does this matter? The problem is that filter isn't neutral. It's shaped by everything you've been through. When you're stressed, it looks for problems. When you're insecure, it looks for rejection. When you're anxious, it finds danger in things that aren't dangerous. Two people can walk into the exact same room and walk out having experienced something completely different. The world you notice isn't always the world that's there. It's the world your brain decided was worth your attention. And your body is part of this too. Before you consciously feel something, your body already knows. The knot in your stomach before a hard conversation. The tightness in your chest before you've figured out why you're upset. Your conscious mind isn't creating those feelings. It's catching up to them, listening to your body and trying to put a name to something already in motion. What most people call intuition is often your brain recognizing a pattern before your conscious mind has had a chance to catch up. Now, imagine you get a text. We need to talk. Before they've said another word, your mind has already written the whole story. They're upset. You did something wrong. Something bad is coming. You start mentally reviewing the last few days. Nothing has actually happened, but your body is already responding like it has. That's because your brain isn't just reacting to the world, it's predicting it, using everything that's ever happened to you to guess what's coming next. Sometimes that protects you. Sometimes it makes you live inside a version of events that never actually happened. Here's what all of this adds up to. There's an entire system running underneath your thoughts. You didn't choose it. You weren't taught about it. But it's been shaping everything. Every fear you can't explain. Every assumption you make about how people see you. Every story you've told yourself about who you are. Not because your brain was trying to hurt you, because it was trying to protect you. And the strangest part? This system has been running your entire life, long before you knew it existed. The moment you start seeing it, something shifts. You stop mistaking every prediction for reality. You stop assuming every feeling is a fact. You start noticing the gap between what's actually happening and what your brain decided was probably going to happen. That gap is where everything changes. You spend your whole life looking at the world. Very few people realize they're also looking through a brain that's constantly editing it. If this made you see your own brain a little differently, subscribe. This is exactly the kind of thing we get into every week. The stuff happening inside your head that nobody really talks about.